They took her son. They thought she would break. But one mother's rage became a storm no galaxy could survive. Every fleet that dared oppose her burned, and every empire trembled at the name of a human mother. Watch her vengeance unfold, and comment if you'd fight alongside her. They took her son. They thought she would crumble, that human fragility would break against the cold metal of their fleets. They were wrong. One life they destroyed became the spark that would set the entire galaxy ablaze. Every whisper of her name would become a warning. Every fleet that crossed paths with humanity would remember that humans do not forgive, and humans do not forget. If you've ever loved someone with all your soul, you'll understand why she would make the stars themselves burn. Comment below if you've ever felt a fury so powerful it could change worlds. And don't forget to subscribe to follow this story until the galaxy remembers her name. She had once been a commander of fleets, a strategist whose mind turned battles into chess matches where humans always found a way to win. Yet here, on this quiet colony at the edge of the galaxy, she had allowed herself a moment of peace. Her son ran through the gardens, laughing, calling her name. In his eyes were dreams of the stars, dreams she had nurtured, dreams she had fought for. His small hands held toys she had crafted herself, inventions that might one day rival the creations of the greatest minds in the galaxy. And for one fleeting morning, the galaxy felt small, contained, simple. Then it was shattered. Explosions tore through the skies, alien warships descending from above with brutal efficiency. They had no warning, no message, no mercy. Her son's laughter turned into a scream she would never forget. The ground beneath her feet trembled as she ran, too late, unable to protect the life she had sworn to defend. She found nothing but ruins, silence, and smoke. The alien emblem burned into the remaining structures, mocking her, mocking humanity. And in that silence, her grief turned cold, sharp, and precise. She would not cry, she would not beg. She would respond. She would make them understand. Every human she had ever led, every ally she had inspired, would soon witness the birth of a force they had never imagined. Humans were dangerous when pushed to the edge. The galaxy had seen them resilient, clever, unyielding. Now they would see humans fueled by personal vengeance, a storm that no technology could contain, no army could stop. Her mind raced through strategies, possibilities, and calculations as grief sharpened into purpose. The empire that thought her mourning would weaken her was about to discover the opposite. Her first action was to gather intelligence. Human networks spanned hidden corners of the galaxy, colonies overlooked by the alien overlords, stations abandoned but still functional. Through whispers, coded signals, and loyal operatives, she pieced together the locations of enemy supply lines, fleet movements, and command hubs. Every fact she uncovered added fuel to her rage. Every mistake of the aliens became a potential weapon. In her mind, she saw the galaxy not as it was, but as it would be, hers to reclaim, hers to punish, hers to rule through fear and respect. She remembered the small hands of her son, how he had looked at the stars with innocent curiosity, unaware of danger. Now those same stars would witness her wrath. Ships she had once commanded in defense of humanity were reassembled in secret, retrofitted, armed with innovations that alien minds could not predict. Every design was a statement: humans adapt. Humans endure. Humans strike when the time is right. And the time was approaching. She called for the humans she trusted most, veterans who had survived countless battles, engineers who could turn scraps into weapons, tacticians who could read an enemy's mind through logic and instinct. She didn't speak of revenge as a burden, she framed it as inevitability. Humanity had survived worse, fought against overwhelming odds, and risen stronger each time. Now they would rise again, not for glory, not for conquest, but for justice. Every plan, every maneuver, was designed to honor one life, the life stolen from her, and to remind the galaxy that no one touched a human child without consequences. In the quiet moments before the storm, she allowed herself a single thought of her son. The way he had smiled at her, the questions he had asked about distant worlds, the way he had held her hand while learning to walk. Those memories were both painful and powerful. They were the core of her humanity, The same humanity that gave her the courage to face impossible odds. Humans were unpredictable not just because of ingenuity, but because of emotion. And she would weaponize every ounce of it. The first whisper of her campaign reached the nearest alien patrols, not through open battle, but through disappearances. Supply convoys vanished, communication arrays were silenced, and reconnaissance drones never returned. The aliens assumed error, sabotage, or coincidence, never imagining that a single mother's fury could orchestrate such precision across light years. Every small victory was a message, every calculated strike a warning. Humanity was awake, and humanity was angry. Her allies knew the cost. There would be no mercy, no hesitation, no room for failure. Yet, in their eyes burned the same fire she carried, a determination born of love, of loss, of the unshakable belief that no force, no matter how vast, could break a human spirit when it was set ablaze. And so, as she stared out into the endless void, she no longer saw her son as lost. She saw him as a call to action, a spark that would ignite the courage of every human across the galaxy. The galaxy itself would soon learn what humans were capable of when their personal stakes outweighed logic and fear. They had underestimated her once. They would not make the same mistake again. Every fleet, every command center, every alien mind would feel the consequences of their arrogance. And through it all, one thought guided her every decision: they took her son, and they would pay for it. She did not pause. She did not hesitate. She moved with the precision of someone who had nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. The quiet colony became a fortress, her plans grew across networks and coordinates, and the humans who had once defended planets now prepared to ignite a galaxy. Every system that had doubted human resilience would soon learn that grief, determination, and genius combined could topple empires. And she, a mother who had lost everything, would lead them. No one could predict the storms of revenge she would unleash. And those who thought they could survive the wrath of a human mother were about to be proven disastrously wrong. The galaxy had taken her son, and in return, it would face a fury so precise, so intelligent, so utterly unstoppable, that for centuries the name of humanity would echo through every corner of space. Every empire, every fleet, every alien leader would remember, and no one would ever again dare to touch a human child without paying the ultimate price. Her grief had transformed into strategy, and her strategy into execution. The galaxy had not seen a mind so sharp and a fury so unrelenting. She moved silently, invisibly, turning intelligence and technology into instruments of retribution. Every human she summoned answered not with questions, but with the same burning purpose. Vengeance was the only language the aliens would understand. Supply lines that once flowed uninterrupted now vanished without a trace. Communication scrambled, entire sectors left in chaos. Each disappearance was calculated, a message written in fire. Humans strike not out of hate alone, but from precision, cunning, and resolve that no alien logic could counter. She struck first at the edges, where complacency had taken root. Alien patrols, confident in their dominance, had no idea that their routes had been mapped, their patterns memorized, and their weaknesses exploited. Humans moved like shadows across the stars, small in number but enormous in impact. Each maneuver carried her intent, each calculated strike screamed a promise. They had taken her son, and she would respond with absolute certainty. The first hits were surgical, devastating in ways that left no room for misunderstanding. The Empire underestimated the humans again. They assumed retaliation would be scattered, desperate, or emotional. They were wrong. Every action was driven by logic as cold as her grief and as sharp as the mind that had once commanded fleets. Entire stations vanished from orbit. Convoys that carried critical supplies found themselves trapped in anomalies they had no explanation for. Alien fleets scrambled, trying to locate the source of these losses, but she had already moved 2 steps ahead, predicting their every reaction, adapting faster than they could strategize. Every move became an insult to their arrogance, a reminder that humans are the unpredictable variable no empire can calculate. She inspired her allies with a clarity of purpose that was intoxicating. They fought not for conquest, not for glory, but for justice, for the memory of a life stolen too soon. Engineers converted abandoned colonies into fortresses, retrofitted ships with new weapons, and created tools of warfare that alien scientists would never have anticipated. Every innovation carried a single, undeniable truth: humans adapt, humans endure, humans strike when it matters most. Her fury was methodical, her grief a weapon, and her leadership unmatched. Those who followed her felt the power of unity, each action harmonized with her singular objective. The first real confrontation came unexpectedly. An alien fleet, confident in their superiority, sought to retaliate against what they assumed was a minor insurgency. They were met not with chaos, but with precision strikes, traps, and ambushes orchestrated with the meticulousness of a master strategist. Ships disintegrated before they could respond, command signals scrambled and turned against them. Panic rippled through their ranks. The Mother had turned fear into a tangible weapon, showing them the cost of underestimating human determination. Their arrogance became their downfall, their confidence their undoing. She watched from hidden coordinates, the emptiness of space reflecting the fire in her eyes. Each success was not a moment of celebration, but a step closer to the reckoning the galaxy had long ignored. Human creativity, combined with her relentless resolve, became a storm no alien calculation could predict. Entire fleets that had once boasted invincibility were now scattered, damaged, or destroyed. She did not hesitate, did not falter, because hesitation would honor the act that had taken her son. Inaction was a luxury she could not afford. Every second counted, every opportunity exploited. Her human allies adapted faster than any alien technology could anticipate. Improvised defenses, weaponized environmental hazards, and psychological tactics combined to create an insurmountable advantage. She understood that fear was a tool, she weaponized it. Alien commanders questioned their judgment, doubted their science, and began to whisper of the human mother who moved across the stars with the precision of a predator. Even the bravest among them felt the unease of a force beyond comprehension. They had seen humans resilient, clever, and resourceful. Now they saw humans relentless, merciless, and unstoppable. Information flowed as efficiently as destruction. Her network of operatives fed her intelligence in real time. Every shift in alien strategy was met with immediate countermeasures. Supply depots disappeared before fleets could reach them, and the humans exploited weaknesses she had identified months before. The precision was uncanny, the execution flawless. Fear spread faster than her fleets ever needed to move. Planets whispered of humans whose vengeance could reach anywhere, whose resolve was beyond reason. And through it all, she felt her son with her, his curiosity, his laughter, his unfulfilled potential, fueling every decision, sharpening every plan. The alien hierarchy began to fracture. Doubts spread among their leaders, mistrust flourished, and paranoia took hold. They debated strategy endlessly, but the Mother's moves rendered their deliberations irrelevant. Humans did not wait for permission, did not hesitate for consensus. They acted, adapted, and struck with the force of a living storm. Every maneuver of her forces was simultaneously offensive and defensive, leaving no avenue for retaliation. The aliens realized too late that this was not a rebellion, not a skirmish, not a minor insurrection. This was a declaration that no empire could contain, no fleet could withstand. Her fury had become method, her grief had become discipline. Each act of destruction was precise, purposeful, and inescapable. Ships that had thought themselves untouchable were eradicated, stations thought secure were obliterated, and every alien mind that once doubted humanity now understood the truth: underestimate a human mother at your peril. Humans were not merely fighters, they were strategists, innovators, and a force that leveraged emotion into power. The galaxy was learning, painfully, that personal loss could catalyze brilliance the universe had never seen before. By the time the first alien fleets realized the depth of her plan, it was too late. Her human forces had infiltrated critical sectors, disrupted supply chains, and spread chaos across multiple star systems. Entire alien armadas that had once imposed fear now scrambled for survival. Communication lines were dead, coordination impossible, and command structures collapsing. All of it was a result of one mother's resolve, one life lost that became a universe-changing catalyst. The aliens understood the unthinkable. Humans do not forgive, humans do not forget, and humans led by love and loss are unstoppable. She paused only briefly to allow herself a single thought of her son, a memory of him running freely, unafraid, dreaming of the stars. That memory fueled her next decisions. Every calculation, every maneuver, every strike carried his essence with it. Humans would not stop until the message was clear. To harm one of theirs was to invite annihilation. Her vengeance was not blind, it was precise, and the universe would see it unfold with merciless clarity. This was the first step, the beginning of a campaign that would rewrite the rules of galactic warfare, all born from the fire of a mother who had lost everything but her resolve. The galaxy had underestimated her once, but never again. Every patrol, every fleet, every command post that had assumed humans were predictable learned instead that they were extraordinary. That they could turn grief into genius, loss into strategy, rage into unstoppable precision. And as the first wave of victories cascaded across star systems, the human mother's voice, silent yet commanding, echoed across the void. They had taken her son, and in return, she would take the galaxy. Her reach extended farther than anyone had dared imagine. Systems thought secure were now within her grasp, alien patrols scattered or destroyed, and entire sectors trembling at the mere rumor of her approach. The galaxy was beginning to understand that this was not a human skirmish, not a rebellion, but a methodical conquest fueled by loss and sharpened by unparalleled intelligence. Every action she took reverberated through the stars, each strike a message that humans do not forgive, and humans led by purpose are unstoppable. She orchestrated movements that alien minds could not predict. Entire fleets appeared where none should have been, disappearing just as quickly, leaving behind chaos and disarray. Her understanding of physics, tactics, and human ingenuity transformed ordinary vessels into weapons capable of striking deep into enemy territory. Where others saw vulnerability, she saw opportunity. Where the aliens saw predictable patterns, she saw variables to exploit. Her son's memory was the engine driving each decision, and every action carried the weight of a promise. The galaxy would pay for the life it had stolen. Alien commanders began to grasp the true scale of her strategy. They could no longer consider humans a minor threat. Each system that fell, each fleet shattered, eroded their confidence and poisoned their arrogance. Panic spread among the councils, spreading faster than any human fleet could traverse. They debated endlessly, but her next moves had already been calculated. Humans moved with speed and precision that technology alone could not match. Intuition, creativity, and emotion had become weapons sharpened to the point where no defense was sufficient. She deployed tactics that combined ingenuity with sheer audacity. Entire alien installations were rerouted, ambushed, or neutralized before any response could be mounted. The galaxy became a chessboard, and she the unseen hand that moved pieces with deadly efficiency. Human engineers converted unremarkable vessels into devastating war machines, transforming abandoned stations into launch points for surprise strikes. Her allies followed without hesitation, trusting her vision and her judgment. Fear of failure did not exist among them. The stakes were too personal, the mission too sacred. Each action was deliberate, leaving no opportunity for error, and every result underscored the growing legend of a mother who would let nothing stand between her and vengeance. Her human fleets struck where the enemy least expected. Supply convoys that had seemed secure were obliterated, communication grids dismantled, and alien forces forced into retreat. Entire alien governors, confident in their dominion, found themselves scrambling against a force that combined relentless strategy with unpredictability. Their attempts at diplomacy or counterattack were futile. Humans anticipated their every move, turning their own arrogance into the source of their downfall. The galaxy watched as one mother transformed grief into a campaign that spanned light years, a campaign so precise that every strike seemed both inevitable and unstoppable. Her understanding of the alien psyche became another weapon. She predicted their desperation, their reliance on hierarchy, and their dependence on technology. She exploited every weakness with ruthless intelligence. Traps were set not just in space, but in the minds of her enemies, who began questioning each other's competence as failures mounted. They had never faced a strategist who could combine emotion and logic so seamlessly. Each strike carried the weight of vengeance and the brilliance of calculated design. Humans were no longer just fighting for survival. They were teaching the galaxy a lesson in fear, respect, and inevitability. She never paused to celebrate. Each victory only sharpened the edge of her plan. Entire fleets were eliminated with minimal human loss, each maneuver executed with precision that left no room for miscalculation. Colonies liberated by her forces began to rebuild under human guidance, a network of support and intelligence that expanded her influence exponentially. Every corner of the galaxy that had doubted human resilience now reeled from evidence that humans did not merely adapt. They excelled under pressure, transforming disadvantage into overwhelming strength. Her human allies mirrored her intensity. They understood the power of purpose, and their coordination reflected her mind at work. Every weapon, every maneuver, every risk was executed in harmony with her vision. Alien commanders felt their authority crumble as humans struck with ingenuity and ferocity they could not comprehend. Entire star systems became silent witnesses to a force born not from conquest, but from necessity, from personal loss turned into collective power. The galaxy's edge trembled because she had made it tremble, and no system was untouched by the reach of her campaign. Fear became her greatest ally. Alien leaders who once underestimated humans now began to doubt their calculations. Commanders questioned orders, fleets hesitated, and entire populations whispered of the mother who had transformed grief into genius. The legend spread faster than her ships could traverse light years. Every victory amplified the story, and with it, the psychological weight crushing the confidence of her enemies. Humanity had always been resilient, now they were unstoppable. She pressed on with relentless determination. Fleets moved with lethal precision, striking at the heart of alien supply chains, command structures, and morale. Communication lines were severed, alliances fractured. Her son's memory guided her, an unyielding force that transformed grief into absolute clarity and power. By the time the Alien Council realized the depth of her influence, entire sectors had fallen, and their forces were disorganized and demoralized. Panic replaced arrogance, hesitation replaced confidence, and fear replaced strategy. Humans were no longer a minor nuisance, they were an unstoppable phenomenon, driven by a mother's grief and sharpened by the brilliance of her mind. She had transformed loss into a force that could not be calculated, countered, or contained. And as her reach spread across the galaxy's edge, the message became clear: underestimate humanity at your own peril. The galaxy would remember. Every system, every fleet, every command post would learn the cost of underestimating a human mother's fury. The boundaries of human ingenuity had expanded with every strike, every tactic, and every victory. Her presence was felt not just in the destruction left behind, but in the psychological imprint on every alien mind. Fear was no longer abstract, it was tactical, unavoidable, and devastating. The edge of the galaxy trembled because humans were no longer hidden, no longer bound by convention, no longer limited by expectation. She pressed forward, relentless and unyielding. Every system that had doubted human capability was now a testament to her brilliance, and every victory carried her son's essence forward, immortalized in strategy and fury. The galaxy had underestimated her, and they would not survive that mistake twice. Humans had reached the edge, and there would be no turning back. Every fleet, every command structure, every alien empire would eventually learn the truth. Humanity, when pushed, when driven by purpose and loss, was a force no galaxy could ignore, and one mother's vengeance could ignite the stars themselves. She had drawn the galaxy into her web, every move calculated, every strike anticipated, yet the true purpose of her campaign remained hidden until the moment of execution. Alien leaders still clung to arrogance, believing humans lacked the discipline or resources to orchestrate something monumental. They were wrong. Her mind had anticipated every contingency, every counterattack, and every misstep they might imagine. What they called chaos, she called opportunity. What they dismissed as grief, she had transformed into strategy capable of altering the balance of entire star systems. Her plan was not a single strike, but a chain reaction, an intricate network of maneuvers designed to collapse alien fleets, destabilize their command, and sever their control over occupied territories. She had observed, calculated, and exploited every weakness with ruthless precision. Every fleet that had challenged her now unknowingly moved into her design, every supply line, every fortress, every outpost aligned perfectly to become the instrument of their own undoing. She let the aliens believe they were responding to random attacks, while in reality, every movement was part of an inescapable trap. Humans under her command had become an unstoppable force, executing orders with lethal efficiency, trusting her vision implicitly. Engineers had adapted alien technology against its creators, weapons repurposed to destroy the very ships that had once terrorized entire systems. Tactics combined with psychology ensured that alien commanders were never certain what would happen next, leaving hesitation and doubt to fracture their unity. Her campaign was no longer a war, it was a demonstration of human ingenuity and relentless determination. Humans did not fight like machines, they fought like storms, precise, unpredictable, and devastating. The moment arrived when the first phase of her gambit was unleashed. Entire alien fleets were drawn into sectors she had prepared months before, forced to navigate through hazards they could neither detect nor understand. Ships that should have survived were trapped by gravitational anomalies, weaponized environmental conditions, and precision strikes from human vessels appearing from unexpected coordinates. Every destruction, every defeat, carried her signature, calculated, intelligent, and merciless. Alien command centers crumbled under the weight of an assault they had been trained to ignore, yet they could not counter. Her mind remained calm, every heartbeat measured, every decision deliberate. This was more than vengeance. It was proof that humanity could turn emotion into strategy, grief into power, and loss into a weapon that no empire could withstand. Her son's memory guided her, not as weakness but as fuel. Every plan executed, every fleet destroyed, every empire shaken, carried the essence of the child they had taken. The galaxy would not forget him, because she would ensure that every star, every system, and every mind remembered the price of underestimating human resolve. Alien leaders attempted last-minute coordination, desperate to salvage what remained of their forces. They sent fleets to intercept, to cut off communications, to regroup. Every effort failed. Her anticipation had accounted for every variable. Human ships struck with precision, intercepting reinforcements before they could reach battle zones, isolating leaders from their fleets, and dismantling the aliens' command structure faster than they could react. Panic became their default state, doubt replaced confidence. Even their most advanced warships, designed to dominate entire systems, were reduced to debris or retreating shadows. Her brilliance lay not just in destruction, but in psychological domination. She understood that fear could be as decisive as firepower. Alien commanders hesitated, argued, and betrayed each other, fracturing their unity. Her campaign was as much a war of intellect as it was of weapons. The humans moved seamlessly, executing strategies that seemed impossible, creating opportunities that no alien doctrine could anticipate. Their unpredictability, their courage, and their ingenuity became an unstoppable combination, turning even minor skirmishes into catastrophic losses for the enemy. She never acted impulsively. Each step of her gambit was deliberate, measured, and inevitable. Every planet liberated became a forward base, every destroyed ship a warning, and every human fighter inspired by her vision became a vector of unstoppable force. The galaxy watched as her campaign unfolded, a storm of fury, intelligence, and grief-driven genius that reshaped the balance of power. She did not fight like the aliens expected. She fought smarter, faster, and more ruthlessly, embodying everything the universe had underestimated in humans. By the midpoint of her campaign, entire alien sectors had collapsed under the weight of her strategy. Leadership structures disintegrated, fleets were decimated, and planets liberated themselves with the subtle guidance of human coordination. Her gambit was working flawlessly. The galaxy witnessed a human-led offensive that relied not on overwhelming numbers, but on the perfect combination of intelligence, timing, and psychological mastery. Every act of destruction was surgical, every decision precise, every outcome inevitable. The universe itself seemed to bend to her will. She pressed on, unwavering, as her forces converged on the heart of the alien empire. Command centers that had once seemed invincible crumbled under combined assaults, fleets that had once boasted invulnerability disintegrated in unexpected ways, and the aliens began to comprehend the scale of what they had provoked. The mother who had lost her son had become a force that no empire could contain. Her mind was everywhere, anticipating every reaction, turning desperation into opportunity, turning fear into a weapon stronger than any missile or plasma cannon. As she directed the final phases of her gambit, she allowed herself a single thought of her son, fleeting yet powerful. The memory of his laughter, his curiosity, his innocence, guided every choice, ensuring that every action honored the life that had been taken. Every strike carried not just vengeance, but purpose, brilliance, and the undeniable proof that humans were a force the galaxy could not ignore. Her campaign had reached its zenith, a perfect combination of strategy, emotion, and intelligence that left the aliens broken, humiliated, and afraid. When the last major fleet of the alien empire fell into her trap, she did not revel in destruction. Her satisfaction was in precision, in the inevitability of victory, and in the unshakable knowledge that humanity had demonstrated its true strength. She had turned grief into genius, personal loss into universal consequence, and vengeance into legacy. The galaxy would not forget her son, or the lesson that humans, when driven by purpose, are the most formidable force in existence. Her gambit complete, the mother allowed herself a quiet moment to feel the culmination of years of planning, rage, and strategy. The galaxy had witnessed not just vengeance, but human brilliance unleashed in its purest, most terrifying form. The aliens who had once believed themselves untouchable had learned the price of underestimating the intelligence, resilience, and ferocity of a human driven by love and loss. The legend of the mother, the son she had lost, and the unstoppable power of humanity would echo across the stars forever. The galaxy trembled long after the final strikes had been executed. Entire alien fleets lay shattered, command centers reduced to ruins, and once mighty empires now whispered of a human force they could neither understand nor anticipate. She had transformed grief into action, loss into strategy, and a personal vendetta into a universal lesson. The consequences of underestimating humanity were now etched across every star system. Her son's memory was no longer a private sorrow, it had become the symbol of unstoppable human resolve. Every liberated world bore the mark of her influence. Human engineers and tacticians worked alongside the locals, turning destroyed planets into hubs of ingenuity, supply, and defense. The mother had ensured that victory was not just temporary, but permanent. Her leadership had created a ripple effect that inspired humans across the galaxy to rise, to defend, to innovate, and to endure. Where there had once been fear, there was now reverence. Where there had once been chaos, there was now order dictated by human resilience and ingenuity. Alien leaders attempted to regroup, but the universe had shifted irreversibly. Their fleets were fragmented, their communications compromised, and their sense of superiority shattered. Every calculation they made was now colored by a single, undeniable fact: humans, when driven by purpose and unyielding determination, could not be contained. The mother's campaign had demonstrated that intelligence, emotion, and resourcefulness were more powerful than any technology or numerical advantage. Entire civilizations would remember this truth for generations. She walked through the liberated systems, unseen by most, but present in the victories her forces had achieved. Planets rebuilt under her guidance, children laughed without fear, and human settlements flourished where alien oppression had once reigned. Her presence was felt as a symbol of strength, a reminder that the cost of arrogance and cruelty was not merely defeat, but annihilation. Every human who had joined her cause carried forward her vision, ensuring that the galaxy would not only remember her son, but would honor the human spirit that had turned personal tragedy into universal power. Her enemies had learned what no training or weaponry could teach them: humans adapt, humans endure, and humans strike with intelligence that cannot be predicted. They had thought her grief would make her weak. Instead, it made her invincible. Every alien who survived her campaign knew the weight of her fury, the precision of her strategy, and the brilliance of her mind. Humanity had proven, once again, that their resolve was unmatched, their creativity unparalleled, and their courage without limits. No empire, no fleet, no alliance could ever challenge them in the same way again. She allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection, thinking of her son, the spark that had ignited this unstoppable force. His memory was embedded not only in her actions but in the very fabric of the galaxy. The people she had inspired, the lives she had saved, and the fear she had instilled in her enemies were all extensions of the love she had carried for him. Loss had not broken her, it had forged her into a symbol of humanity at its absolute peak. Across every corner of space, humans had demonstrated what it meant to fight not for greed, not for conquest, but for justice, for legacy, and for the life of someone they loved. Her story spread faster than any fleet could travel. Survivors, witnesses, and even her enemies recounted the brilliance, precision, and fury with which she had reshaped the galaxy. The tale of a mother who refused to be defeated, who transformed grief into genius, and who orchestrated the downfall of empires became legend. In every whisper, in every fearful glance from alien commanders, in every cautious approach toward human worlds, her influence persisted. Humanity had achieved something no one had anticipated, not merely victory, but immortality through action and intellect. She did not seek glory. Her purpose had been singular: vengeance for her son, justice for humanity, and proof that no loss could be too great to be transformed into strength. Yet the galaxy had given her legend, and she carried it with the quiet dignity of someone who understood the weight of power. Humans were now not just survivors or fighters, but symbols of potential that no other species could rival. Her actions had demonstrated that ingenuity, emotion, and determination, combined with unwavering focus, could change the course of history. The alien empires that remained now approached humans with caution, respect, and fear. They understood that a single human, guided by purpose and equipped with intellect, could topple entire fleets and redefine strategies once thought infallible. Every empire learned the cost of arrogance, every commander the price of underestimating human ingenuity, and every world the lesson that humans, when driven by necessity, were capable of feats beyond imagination. Humanity had earned a reputation that would endure for centuries, a testament to the power of grief transformed into action. She looked to the stars with a sense of completion, knowing that her campaign had fulfilled its purpose. Her son's life had been taken, but through her determination, his memory had become eternal. Humanity had proven itself not just resilient, but dominant in ways that no alien mind could fully comprehend. The galaxy had been tested, and it had learned a truth that would never fade. Humans fight with unparalleled creativity, unwavering courage, and a resolve fueled by emotion as sharp as any weapon. Every corner of space now bore the mark of a mother's vengeance, and through it, the essence of humanity itself. Her forces began to rebuild, not for conquest, but for stability, prosperity, and protection. Colonies once oppressed became thriving centers of culture and technology. Humans continued to innovate, to expand, and to defend, guided by the same principles that had allowed a single mother to turn grief into a campaign that reshaped the galaxy. Across light years, the echoes of her actions persisted, inspiring humans to reach higher, fight smarter, and remain unbroken in the face of any challenge. The mother who had lost everything had become a living legend, a reminder to the galaxy that no life could be taken without consequence. Her son's memory lived on in every victory, every strategy, every human who stood resilient against impossible odds. The universe had witnessed the culmination of human potential, the combination of intellect, emotion, and willpower, and the consequences of underestimating a species capable of turning loss into unstoppable power. Humanity had endured, thrived, and dominated, guided by the unshakable resolve of a mother who refused to be defeated. The galaxy would remember her, her son, and the unstoppable force that humans had become. Every fleet, every empire, every corner of space would feel the impact of her legacy for generations to come. Humans had not only survived, They had proven that their spirit, intelligence, and courage were unmatched. They had become the standard against which all others would be measured, and the memory of one mother's vengeance would echo through the stars forever.